Hello, everyone. Before we get started, there are a few things we need to say. We here at Next Gen Retroman would like to let everyone know we fully support the Black Lives Matter movement. We have made it a goal in the past to not get involved in the political conversation, to keep our podcast as neutral and inviting as possible to everyone. However, there's an issue in our country that a large community of people simply are not treated equally. To stay silent on this matter would be against everything we stand for. We fully support those that are speaking out against these injustices and truly hope they are being heard by the right people. Silence and ignoring the matter at hand will not bring change. We hope that everyone uses whatever platform they have to speak up to help make this change happen. Black Lives Matter. In a future where cyber criminals run amok, there's only one hope for the world. Next Gen Retroman Podcast.
Oh,
Hi. Yeah.
hello.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jason.
And welcome to our next episode of 3-Part Cinema. And this time we are going to go over The Car, Road to Revenge.
No, Lord.
The
Yeah.
Revengeing.
We did Wolf Cop last time. This is the second part of it, and we decided to kind of stick with the same kind of B-movie horror thing just because those are kind of the most fun, that have the most what the hell moments throughout them. So, yeah, but before we go into that, Adrian, what you been up to, man?
Well, this past week, carrying the baby went out of town, and all that time I could have been using playing video games, I squandered it cleaning up the house,
Shame
Yeah,
on
I
you.
mean, I don't think that's squandering, but
organizing this and that. And
yeah, dude, what the hell?
now I look back and like, fuck, I should have played.
Wait, did
yeah.
you at least finish the Uncharted games, though?
No.
Wait, what?
I can tell you he didn't.
But that was your full goal for May, was just to beat Uncharted.
Still May.
The trilogy.
No, it's definitely June. Are you in Uncharted 1?
Yes.
Oh my god. How are you in the same spot you were last time you talked about it?
Same spot that. I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What are you? I don't
Okay,
know.
hold on. Hold on.
No, you're not breaking up. You're not breaking up.
Damn it. Yeah, so you haven't played it at all is basically what you're saying.
Okay. Here's the thing. No, I have no excuse.
Ryan's
All right.
beaten an entire Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and a crazy long, like 80-hour something Assassin's Creed. And I'm like almost 20 hours into the next one, man.
I'm not even
Okay.
I'm not
no,
even
I'll-
3 hours into the next one.
Come on.
I will get at least one down by the end of June.
Oh my
my,
god.
my advice, just start with the second. That's what I did. You don't need to play the
Yeah.
first. The second
don't
is so
really?
good. No.
You
Should I
don't
just kinda, like-
need to? You should, but yeah, if you're kind of not struggling, but you're just not getting into it,
Right.
start with the second one. The second one, you'll be like, oh shit.
Have Carrie watch you play it. Like, it's great backseat gaming too.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
very much like watching an action movie. And the first
'Cause I
one,
heard it's like a movie, pretty much.
the first one is good in that sense, but it's not the same. Whereas the second one is very much like, oh shit.
Okay. Well, she said I have to plan date night this weekend, so I'm gonna make her watch me play.
Sounds like a great date.
Also, it was just weird. Like, I don't even know if you want to edit this out or not. Like, I saw Alexa, like, the little light was on. Do y'all have Alexa?
No,
I do not.
There's a reason why I don't.
Okay.
And you're probably about to give me that reason.
All right. So yeah, I guess keep it in. Yeah. So like I saw like Alexa, and like some light was going on. Like usually there's no light on it, but like some yellow light was going on. So I just well, if you have Alexa, you just go, Alexa, play some music, and she plays. And Alexa, what time is it? And here's the time. Alexa, set some alarm. Whatever. Blah blah blah. So I saw some light on it. It was like, Alexa, quit your shit. And then she like starts beeping, and like if you see a yellow light, that means there's an alert. or a message or something. It was like, okay, Alexa, what is the message? And then she tells me that my Amazon package is here.
That's okay. I mean,
That's all.
that's
But
kind
it's
of
weird.
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, but
It's cool.
I don't need something listening to me all the time in my house. I have enough things
Yeah.
that already do that. I have a smartphone, so
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
I'm sure my phone hearing me talk to you about Alexa, I'm going to start getting ads for
Yeah.
Alexa and something.
Me and Grace were talking about the movie The Help this morning, and then next thing we know, we booted up the PlayStation, and it was the number one thing recommended to us on Netflix today.
Well, I mean,
Alexa, quit your shit.
I mean that's still kind of relevant to.
Yeah, but
And
still.
my wife was like talking about wanting to get a new dog harness because she walks our dog mostly, and ads started popping up on all my stuff for like this harness that she had been talking about, and I was like, oh, God damn it. I love the future, but the future sucks.
All right, Jason, what have you been up to?
Not being haunted by my robot master Alexa.
Not yet.
Not yet. I don't have an Alexa yet. I kind of want one though. I admit.
It's gonna be mandated at some point.
So we've been doing a lot of housework, buying a lot of knickknacks and paddywhacks for our walls and things like
Give
that.
a dog
Like
that bone.
No, the dog's a pain in the ass. Anyways, we've been hanging stuff up on walls, like home decorating things. So I've been having honey-do lists. Other than that, I've just been painting my Warhammer things and diving down into the lore and trying to learn everything that I can before the 9th edition comes out. I thought I'd painted a lot more than I really had for my current army, and I pulled them all out yesterday. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even near where I need to be to start playing.
I need to buy more.
No, like, I have enough bought to play. I just don't have enough painted to play yet. So, like, I made a list on, like, our thing on, like, how many more I have left to paint. And it's kind of ridiculous, and I'm overwhelmed. But I'm still enjoying it. It gives me that, like, hour of relaxation.
You're welcome.
Also, playing a ton of Mortal Kombat. I beat the Mortal Kombat DLC, and the storyline was just completely bonkers, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Go watch it on YouTube if you don't want to play the game.
Yeah, maybe.
They have Uncharted on YouTube?
Yeah,
I'm sure they do, but you own the game. If you don't own the game,
Yeah.
like, they got the guy who played Shang Tsung in the movie to come back and voice all of his lines for the DLC. So it was pretty ridiculous. They had a lot of callbacks to the original movie.
Yeah, the only thing I've really done for that is I watched all the friendships on YouTube.
Oh, they're so good.
They're pretty funny.
Jax's friendship's probably my favorite. I really want to make it a ringtone on my phone. Anyways, Ryan, what you been up to?
I kind of already mentioned it. I finished Assassin's Creed Origins. I did all the DLC. Curse of the Pharaohs kind of petered out a little bit at the end. It was still really, really good, though. And I would say that game in all is a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Very good.
It's really good.
Including all the DLC. I have started Odyssey. I'm a good chunk into it. I really like some aspects of it. I am annoyed by a few other aspects of it, but all in all, it's really good. It just makes me wish that it wasn't an Assassin's Creed game in a way. Like, it's a good, just open world, third person combat focused RPG.
Yeah.
And the sailing stuff has been really cool. The exploration aspects of it are cool. The locations, I'm really starting to want to see more of the kind of mythological aspects of it. Those have been kind of hinted at, so we'll see. But yeah, so far so good. I'm enjoying it.
I think I mentioned in one of our group texts, like, how I wish Assassin's Creed would just get rid of the Assassin's Creed aspect and just be what they are. Like, no more of the futuristic stuff. Just make it the past stuff and just call it Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I don't even mind the future stuff in the sense, but it annoys me when it pulls you out of the
Immersion
past stuff. Yeah, and then you kind of just have to dick around in the present or future, whatever. I have enjoyed some of it. I think it would be good if they just said, hey, you're an animus and you're exploring this person's memories, go. And then that's it. Like, you don't, and then you could even deliver some of the story another way without kind of, anyways, we'll see what they do in the next one.
Just give me more Fassbender movies.
That'll never happen. Finished season 6 of Clone Wars, and I am halfway through season 7.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. I really like.
Hold on. I finished. I'm up to 2. I finished 2. I'm starting 3.
Okay, yeah, you're in some good spots, but yeah, the problem is like
I'm hooked now.
Yeah, no, there are episode, and because a lot of the episodes aren't like one-off episodes, they're almost always 2 to 3 to 4 parts.
They're little sagas.
Yeah. So there are some ones in there that are not as good as others, and you'll know it when you're watching them.
Jar Jar.
Pretty much any like Jar Jar or C-3PO led episodes annoy the shit out of me. Well, you'll see. The first 4 episodes of season 7 were kick-ass.
Phenomenal. Yeah, really good.
I really enjoyed those. Those were good.
The middle teeters down real fast, and then the last.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I know. I'm getting there. I'm real close. And I just started building my models again. I finished one Fire Warrior Breacher, and about halfway through another one. I had to stop to record. But I'm working on those again. I have a few more of those, some shield drones, and then I'm done with a portion of my stuff without painting. I still have to paint. So.
No.
And 2 things. I made some pretty damn good burgers the other day. I have some room for improvement, but they were good. They were good. I like
it. What did you change from last time?
I kind of mentioned it on the last episode. I kind of just let the meat do its own thing. Put some Worcestershire sauce and an egg just for a binder. Not really for flavor. It just kind of helps hold the meat together. At least it's something I've always done. And I just used like an ice cream scoop and scooped the ground beef out and put it in a cast iron skillet. And I took this big metal like spatula that I just got for this and smashed the like meatball thing down flat, like real thin. And that just seared that side. And I waited till it was completely seared and, loose, because it sticks to the cast iron until it's seared, and then it's loose and free. So then I just flipped it over and used some like just American cheese and some decent buns and kind of, it was good. Real simple. So, I'm going to go from there, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. But
I saw this one thing where they put like a little metal bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have the burger on the griddle or whatever, and then they'll kind of hit it with water and
Mm-hmm.
put the metal bowl over it and kind of like keep it in there to steam.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely.
Just an
That's
idea.
usually good for cheese. Like it'll help the cheese melt without overcooking the other side. But yeah,
What frozen patties did you buy?
I didn't use frozen patties.
Which Burger King did you shop at?
No, it was just nothing special. It was just
I got-
80-20.
I got
Ground
some
chuck?
Costco frozen patties.
You can keep them.
Yeah.
And one last thing real quick. We may have a new cat. Yeah, her name is Jaina. She's from a friend of my wife's at work who is moving and can't bring the cats that he had with him. He was able to rehome most of them except for her.
That's how you got
Yeah.
our cat.
Yeah, she's named after Jaina from World of Warcraft, which I know nothing about. But
I
yeah,
was just about to ask that.
yes, that is what she's named after. She has severe anxiety. She hasn't left the bathroom that we like put her in to like introduce her to the house. She's kind of left it a little bit, but she's real skittish and she's very sweet and loving, but she's just kind of in her comfort zone right now. So we're waiting to see, if and when she adapts, and hopefully she's happy here and we can keep her. But if she's not going to be happy here, we need to, figure something out. So.
She's new. She'll come around.
Oh no, I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying like, hopefully,
Okay.
yeah, she's happy. So yeah, that's about it. So And no news to talk about this week. So we are going to jump straight into 3-part cinema, The Car, Road to Revenge. And if you aren't familiar with this, because we've only done it one other time, we basically pick a movie and split it into 3 parts, and one of us watches the beginning, one of us watches the middle, and one of us watches the end. And then we kind of talk you through the movie and find out what the hell happened or how that happened. This time, we switched up a little bit from last time. I went first, Jason went second, and Adrian has the ending. And here we go. So the title credits are just a close-up of a car with an engine revving. It's that it's the car, from the car. So it starts off, there's a car chase, and it's this cop, and they tell him wait for backup, and he's like, I'm not letting this scumbag get away. And then the car that he's chasing spins out or peels out or whatever, and smashes into a wall. And then the cop gets out to look, get him. He's not in the car. And the car is literally, it's hilarious. It's a neon green souped up Dodge Neon with white racing stripes painted on it. And you can literally see it. You can literally see it at some point. It says neon and it's painted over. And then there's a Christian fish thing symbol painted over on it. They just bought this car from somewhere and just painted it up for the movie real quick. And the guy's not, the criminal or whatever is not in the car, and there's a girl tied up and gagged in the trunk, and he gets attacked trying to get her out, and the guy has silver teeth or whatever, and the cop beats his ass and lets the girl hit him with her nightstick after he rescues her.
What?
Yeah, he's the
sexy time.
No, the perp is there with his hands cuffed behind his back, and he's on his knees, and he gives the girl a nightstick, and she smashes him in the face. Okay. And the dude's head turns spits blood out or whatever. And then it cuts straight to this is probably my favorite scene that I had the whole time. So it's a courtroom scene, and he's found guilty, and there's this kind of smarmy district attorney looking guy, and he they find him guilty, and then the judge says something may God or whatever, something like that, and this big clear plastic tube comes down and covers him, and then he starts shaking, and then he just explodes, and blood flies all over the inside of the tube,
out of nowhere
in the courtroom. That's what happens when they find you guilty in this dystopian cyberpunk future. Oh. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's great. I don't know.
At what point did you realize this movie was cyberpunk, by the way?
It's slowly. That's the first main thing that they show that gets you there. But okay. It starts ratcheting it up pretty soon after this. So it's kind of, like I said, there's kind of this smarmy district attorney looking guy, and then it cuts to criminals doing criminal things with rock music, kind of similar to that barn in Wolf Cop.
You know what it kind of the criminals reminded me of in this movie? They kind of remind me of the criminals from Double Dragon.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of a Foot Clan or something.
I'm getting right there. So they're in this club / hideout thing. I don't know. And there's a
all
cage
the cool
fight.
teens are smoking.
Yeah, but there's a cage fight and all this stuff, and it just shows this cowboy walk up, and there's a vampire. This is the only way I could say who they were.
Okay, so they are vampires.
No. There's a cowboy, a vampire, mohawk chick, long hair guy, and a dude with a robot arm. And then there's robot arm. So the guy, they basically are saying that the guy who got arrested had a chip with files on it, because of course he did. And then they're like, oh, he's got it. And it's the district attorney that has it, and they're all worried about him. And district attorney has a chip, and he wants to keep it a secret. So he uploads it into the mainframe or his computer or whatever, I don't know. And he's going to take the rest of the day off. And this is what he says. He's going to take the day off and treat himself to a beautiful plaything. And the car ain't bad either. Yeah. So That's the thing. And
I
it
heard.
shows like a holographic like image of, because like his computer's like this thing that projects like holograms up off of it, and there's like a car ad with like a black car spinning on it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so now he's on a date. There's like a guy playing a violin at a fancy restaurant, and a girl kind of mentions how she thinks it's over the top, and she's being kind of sarcastic. You can tell she's not like super like happy to be there or whatever. I don't know.
Is this
And
the brunette girl?
yes. And she starts pouring candles out on the table. I don't know. It was weird. Like there were candles on the table. She starts pouring the candle wax onto the table. I didn't get that part. But anyways. And then he says, not everything has to be a fight to the death. And she says, since when? And he says, since I lost you. And that's a line. So then they're like,
there's a lot of that in this movie.
oh yeah, for sure. It's great. So then they're like walking down an alleyway, and I kind of thought something was going to happen to him there, but nothing really does. And they're just talking. And then they're like driving home, and he kind of says it's this new car that he just bought. And he comes on to her, and he's kind of acting like an asshole. And she just kind of says she wants to go home. And he kind of says like he'll never stop coming for her. He's like, I'll never stop coming for you or whatever. And then he's pissed off that he got turned down, I guess, or whatever. And his like assistant calls and says they need some like illegal software to break into the chip or whatever. And it's like the assistant DA or whatever that he is the only other person who knows about the chip, other than the criminals. It's like the only person that he talked to about it. And so he like pulls up to his office, and the car has a safe in it. Imagine that. It's like operated by like his palm print, and he like puts the chip in it, and the car's called a Lazarus, which that's a little on the nose. And
This is the neon green one?
no,
At the
this is the
beginning?
black, the car. This is the car. That neon green one was only at the very, very beginning of the movie.
Okay, this is the car. Okay.
This is the car. And so he goes to his office to go over the files, and his like assistant leaves. And when he's walking down the like street or the alleyway or whatever, he passes Mohawk Chick. And so the DA is like in his office, like looking through the files, and vampire video call. I don't know any other like names. I just know what I named
Okay.
them.
Yes.
I was
So
watching it.
Yeah.
you want me to name off the names, because I think I
No.
got the names. Okay.
No, it's more fun to me this way.
Is the vampire guy the frilly shirt guy?
Yes, I don't
Okay.
think he's a vampire, but I was just like, that guy's fucking cosplaying as a vampire. Like a vampire Lestat interview with a vampire type.
I was
vampire.
thinking like Seinfeld, like pirate
Yes.
puffy shirt.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I don't. Anyways, so vampire video calls the DA with like an employee's corpse, and he's using it like a puppet, and he was like, I have a terrible headache, I need to go home. And then the guy, like the dude's head falls forward, and there's like this giant head wound on the back of it. And then the DA kind of reacts, and then robot arm breaks into his office. This is like a big action scene. He tries shooting them as they storm in, but robot arm blocks them with his robot arm, and they beat the shit out of him. Vampire holds a straight razor to his neck because he's all like vintage or whatever. I don't know.
Buh.
Yeah. Buh.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that kind of razor. Yeah. Then Mohawk asks where the chip is, and he plays dumb. She lights his hologram computer thingy on fire, and they shove his face into it while he's like pleading with them. And he starts fighting back and punching robot arm in the face, and then he elbows vampire in the face. He yells, "You don't know who you're fucking with," and flips his desk over. He keeps fighting and hits vampire and then robot arm with a drawer from his desk. Robot arm then breaks his arm, like the DA's arm, when he tries to steal his gun from him, and he tries to shoot Mohawk with it. And then that scene like cuts off, and then he's tied to his chair. And this was actually kind of cool. So he's tied to his chair, and then like long hair guy starts threatening him. I didn't know what to call that guy. He just was like a dude with long black hair.
What's he wearing?
A top hat type, like a
Okay,
bowler
yeah, I
hat.
know.
Oh, spoilers.
What's
So
that
he
dude
starts,
from
like-
Guns N' Roses Slash.
Yeah, kind of, but like not a top hat. It's more like a bowler hat, as far as I can remember. I don't know. And Longhair starts threatening him and lays down a set of like torture tools, and he tells him, and then the DA is like, "You're all gonna die for this." and then Longhair flips him off. This was like actually kind of cool and funny and cheesy, but also cool. Like Longhair like flips him off, and then his middle finger like splits open down the like vertically and opens up, and like a drill thing comes out of it. It starts like spinning, and then he jabs it into the DA guy's eye.
So he's a robot?
They're all like cyber like punk like. I'll get to that here in a second, but yeah, that's like one of the main first things where you're like, other than robot arm, where you're like, oh shit, like, okay, cool. And then he drills it into his eye, and then it just shows robot arm throwing him out of his office window, and then he just like splats onto his car. Like they show it kind of like that, and he just smashes onto like the roof of his like new car, the car. So then it just cuts to a crime scene the next morning with him like on his car, and then it goes to like inside his office, and the cop from the beginning is back, and his partner says, well, I think we can rule out suicide. Cop looks over the crime scene. The assistant shows up, and cop says all his files are destroyed. Was he working on anything? And the assistant says no. Ooh, he's a liar. Yeah. So yeah, the assistant DA is like the chubby, dorky looking dude with glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, the glasses guy.
Yeah. Like that worked for the DA. He was the assistant DA. And so then it cuts to like down into like a subway, and Mohawks like tells this guy like they removed his intestines and molars before throwing him out the window to like a surgeon looking guy. And he says it sounded like a splendid evening, but wants to know where the data chip is, because of course he wants to know where the data chip is. It's a MacGuffin basically at this point.
Yeah.
It's a MacGuffin the whole damn time. They basically tell him the only person they
Sith
saw him
dagger.
with was do what?
It's a Sith dagger.
Yeah. And they basically say the only person they saw him with was his ex. And the doctor starts giving a speech about modifying them, and my creations will be the one to rule this city. And he tells him to find it and don't disappoint him. So he's basically like the big bad guy boss that has modified all these other criminals or whatever. Yeah. So this is the like first time you see the car as the car. And so it's like towed and left in an impound lot. And then the like guy that the tow truck operator is like chaining the gate back up to the impound lot, and then the lights turn on and the engine revs, and then the car runs over the tow truck guy and speeds away. So, you know, yeah. And then it cuts to the funeral for the DA, and the ex is there, and she's sad, and the cop is there too. And she's like talking to one of her friends in a car ride, like afterwards, saying that she's like conflicted because he was controlling, and her friend tells her that he, quote, shattered her heart over and over. Like, okay. And she's then at house crying into a mirror and notices headlights. It's the car. Her phone rings, and she's using this like futuristic, clear holographic phone. And the cop's calling her, and he's using like an old model iPhone that's like old even for like right now.
Okay, yeah, I was about to mention that. Was the technology hit, like, it was up and down?
Yeah, I think it was kind of showing some class stuff. Like, he's definitely like a beat cop, you know, detective.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't give a shit about technology, so he's using like an iPhone 6 or something. I don't know.
I have my phone paid off. Why am I going to buy a new one?
Yeah, and she's literally using this like clear holographic like CGI phone that they've added in. She hangs up on him because he's gruff, like he kind of is an asshole to her. Then he knocks on this door, like where he was calling her from, and he asks the kid if his mom is home, and the kid tries to shoot him.
As one does.
And then his mom's like, what the fuck's going on out there? And then she comes to the door and says, you've got a lot of nerve showing up here. And it's the family of the criminal from the beginning that got blown up in the tube in the courtroom. And he kind of asked them about him, and they say he was working for the night and he had a big score, but he always says that. And he hands the gun back to the mom and says, keep that kid on a leash, and walks away. Whew, okay. And then we're in a goth strip club with like some generic nu metal playing, and Robot Arm is at the table with a bunch of strippers, and it shows a whole bunch of titties. And then Robot Arm like drunkenly walks outside, and then the car pulls up when he's trying to get in his car, and he stops and looking at it and yells, you want some? And then the car starts revving at him, and he says, "You have no idea who you're messing with, you rich fuck." And then the car peels out and takes his door off, but like Robot Arm jumps out of the way. And then he runs and hides in this building, and he calls his boss and says that someone's after him. And then the car smashes through the front window of the store he's in, that he's like hiding in. That's what he went into, and hits him. And then Robot Arm tries using his robot arm to stop the car, but he can't, and his head gets crushed against a wall and splashes blood all over the screen. So they like doing that a lot, it seems, from what I could see.
Yep.
And then it's the crime scene for that the next morning, and then the cop says, "Another suicide, huh?" to his partner. And hey, guess what? Robot Arm's name is Henry. That's maybe they had called him that earlier on, but yeah, his name is Henry. But I still like calling him Robot Arm.
Mm-hmm.
And his partner says his rap sheet is as long as his dick, and that is long. And then they talk about.
Hold on. When we did this with Wolf Cop, I had to see Wolf Cop Man Dick. Did you see Rap Sheet Dick?
No, he just says that his rap sheet is as long as his dick, and that's long. I just saw a bunch of goth stripper titties. That's all I saw.
Oh.
And then they talk about how advanced his robot arm was. Then they say the vehicle was a big black luxury sedan. And so then it cuts to the cop eating like cheesy popcorn at the office of his ex, the DA's ex, brown hair girl. I don't know what to call her. I just kept calling her the ex. Mm-hmm. And she asks if he's a detective, insensitive asshole, and then she won't shake his hand because it's covered in like popcorn dust. And the cop says his name is Rayner. So yeah, his name is Rayner. He's no longer the cop. Mm-hmm. And he says the DA was obsessed with her and monitoring her email and stuff, kind of being a stalker. Again, they're kind of setting up that the DA was kind of a douchebag, and he was in the scenes that I saw him in or whatever. So, but he still didn't deserve to like get his intestines pulled out and all that stuff. But they didn't show that either, which I think I kind of had to go back and look, and you can kind of see some of his intestines when he's laying on the roof of his car, but I didn't notice it at first. But anyways, yeah. So this is the final scene that I had. They go to this for whatever reason. They just go to this weird Japanese bar to talk. Like, I don't know. And they talk about how much everyone hated the DA, and the cop wants to make the city safer, and he's not like the DA. He asks her about the car, and she says he bought a car just like that. So he says, like, "What do you know about a black luxury sedan?" And she's like, "Oh, he bought a car just like that." He warns that they're going to start looking for it because he has a hunch, and they didn't like find what they were looking for. And then she leaves him the bill, and he's annoyed with how expensive it was. And then I turned it off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jason, what the fuck happens?
So I picked up right where he got the bill, I think. Like, he had those two little martini drinks in front of him. And the first thing I noticed was, how dark is this movie? Did it have like a dark filter on the whole movie?
It was very gray.
Yeah. And so Daria is her name, by the way, the brown-haired lady.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So she's driving home with like her friend, who's like and they get back to her house, and they're being spied on by Mohawk girl.
Okay.
Whose name is Ash.
Oh, okay.
No, the names of the cyberpunk people are amazing, by the way. So Ash is spying on them, and she like radios into Top Hat guy, whose name is Payne. With a Y, Payne. She radios into him where she found him, and then it cuts to the cops saying that they need to put surveillance on him and on her to make sure that she's protected. And some little skinny cop goes to watch over her, and I may have been his partner. I'm not sure. Yeah, so he goes there and to like monitor her, and her friend were talking about how she needs to forget everything, and they just drank tequila, and she's like, you know what tequila makes me want to do? And they like pretend to fight in her living room before going to sleep.
Like sparring?
Yeah, spar fighting, but not. It's dumb.
Like Daredevil, Elektra from.
Yeah, Daredevil, Elektra on the seesaw kind of
Ben
fighting.
Affleck.
But not as dramatic. And then it just cuts to Top Hat Payne guy with the whirligig finger.
Okay.
sneaking up on the cop car, and he grabs the cop and rips him out of the car and drills like really big finger into the cop's head, and they walk into Daria's house because I guess she doesn't lock her futuristic house doors.
Okay. So he uses middle finger thing again, right?
Yeah, he used his metal really big finger, and that's when I'm
Okay.
like, is this maybe cyberpunk?
Go Gadget.
Yeah. And him and like a couple guys break in. One of the guys grabs Daria's friend and like just slices her across the throat and kills her there. And the other guy like crawls into bed with Daria all creepy like and like starts rubbing on her face, and she wakes up and pulls
Wait.
out like,
Was it Payne that was doing that?
no, some other guy. Some
Okay.
bald guy with like generic cyberpunk
Bad guy.
bad guy number 2.
Okay, cool.
She pulls out like she wakes up and pulls out this magnum and shoots him right in the head.
Does it blow
And-
up? Like, does his head explode, or is he just fall down dead?
Yeah, it blows up a bit because this is like the biggest fucking magnum that you'll ever see in your life.
Cool. Well,
And
I
Payne,
saw
and
like,
Payne was in the room with them at the time, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and starts running away.
yeah. Well, they show her with that big ass gun in the like still in the like Netflix, like
Yeah.
when you select the movie. So I know what gun you're talking about.
And she like goes to exit her room, and she starts shooting at him, and he grabs the other cyberpunk generic guy number 1 and uses him as a shield. I'm sitting here like, "What? That gun just blew off a guy's head, and it can't shoot through this guy to hurt
Yeah,
me?"
it would go right through.
Yeah, it would go right through, but it doesn't. And she shoots him like I think 8-9 times, like more bullets than that magnum carries. So, and then Payne runs like, and she gets scared and starts running away, and Payne chases her outside and corners her in these woods outside, and then out of nowhere you see the headlights.
It's the car.
It's the car, and Payne's like, "You don't want none of this," and the car revs and starts chasing after him, and she escapes, gets in her car, and Payne gets in his car, and then she's like escapes away, and he's frustrated, and then out of nowhere, guess what shows up? The car.
Yeah.
And slams into him, and a couple times knocks him off a bridge inside of his car, and then like he goes out and crawls out of his car to crawl away, and the car somehow finds the path down to where that bridge was and squishes him, like slowly rolls over him.
Okay, I thought you said like squishes him, like it lands on him, but it just like
No,
drives over him real
slowly
slow.
rolls over him and popped his head under
Okay.
the tire.
Okay, does the blood splash on the screen?
It splashes onto the side.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I mean, they more hint at it than anything.
Okay.
And I guess through this whole thing, Raynor caught up with Daria because like her house alarm told him that she would be in trouble. And so he goes and saves her, and they decide that they need to team up together to try to figure out what's going on and why all these people want her. And so they go to this like weird steampunk Chinatown.
Steampunk?
Cyberpunk Chinatown.
Cyberpunk.
Okay. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, Cyberpunk
All sorts of
Chinatown. They
puns.
make it to Cyberpunk Chinatown, and there's this one guy in this weird tea shop. He's kind of like not quite like, you could tell he's like the boss of it, and he's got these two ladies just hanging off the side of him, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to find out who's trying to track us." And he said it's some guy named Talon, but that's all that they will tell him. And they were like, "Well, we need more information." So he goes to put on this Cerebro type thing to figure out what's going on. And
Did
as
we
he-
watch 3 different movies?
as he puts this Cerebro type thing on his head, he gets shot.
Oh,
And
the cop dies?
no, the like boss of the China
Okay,
town
right.
tea house
Okay.
thing. He's putting on this thing to figure out where Talon is, and he gets shot. And there's Ash, the crazy Mohawk girl, at the entrance, and a bunch of other cyberpunk people storm the place and start shooting everybody. And Raynor, the cop guy, ducks down and starts shooting back, and Daria tries to escape out the back, and Ash shuts the door to the building so that she's like, "Oh, y'all are gonna die today." And it's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, she shuts the door, and Daria goes into the back and somehow runs into her. because I guess Ash can teleport into the building that she just closed the door on without having to walk through everything. And they fight, and Ash starts getting like beat up real bad, so she pulls out this wrist flamethrower and starts shooting it at Daria.
I was about to ask, like, what's Ash's like augment?
She has like a wrist flamethrower that like very Mandalorian style, and she's torching the whole place, but you can tell they pre-lit all the fires, and the fire she's shooting is CGI.
Just cartoon drawings.
Yes. Daria rolls away, grabs her magnum, and shoots it at her, and somehow hits the fuel tank, and catches Ash on fire. And Daria escapes out the back. The cops show up and start shooting up all of the cyberpunk guys, and of course Raynor's hiding, and he's like, "Don't shoot me, I'm a cop," and he like shows his badge and then flips them off.
Wait, to the other cops? Wait.
Yeah. He shows his badge with one hand and flips them off with his other hand.
To the other cops?
Yeah.
Okay.
But regular finger, right? Not split down the middle robot finger.
No, regular finger. And Daria escapes out the back, and as she's like trying to escape, burnt crispy barbecue Ash starts chasing after her, saying that she's got to die. She knows where the chip is, and Daria has no idea what she's talking about. And the car shows up out of nowhere and smashes Ash.
Fuck yeah! Like how does she get smashed?
It's foreshadowing that
again.
Ash.
Like
the name Ash.
It rolled over, like it hit her, and then she's laying on the ground, and then it like just slowly rolled over her, and Daria passes out from shock.
Okay, so it did the same thing it did to.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many ways that a car can kill someone, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when it smashed Robot Arm. I already forgot his name.
Henry.
Yeah, Robot Arm. Yeah.
Yeah, Robot Arm.
There are like so many characters that you guys discussed that died, and I'm like, I only have like 3 characters I'm talking about.
Okay. So let's get to that. Talon finally shows up. They do this like big like, okay, it's where the Ninja Turtles Foot Clan, I guess, guys hung out.
Yeah, like in the subway. Talon is a dude in like a white lab coat with glowy eyes, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Him and I guess your vampire guy, because he wore way too much eyeliner. Is
right.
standing next to him.
He has a little frilly like ascot thingy.
And he's speaking to his army of cyberpunk people, saying that too many of his men are dying recently. They need to find out where the car is and take out the driver of the car. And whoever brings him the girl will get to pick their own modification. And whoever kills the driver who killed all of his men, if they bring him his head, they will be able to pick any modification that they want as well. And they all cheer, and it's like your basic, okay, we went to a college and just asked people if they'd like to be a movie people.
Sweet.
But wearing cyberpunk clothes.
Cool. I mean, I do it.
Yeah. And then it cuts to Daria waking up at Raynor's place because he's going to keep her there to keep her protected.
Oh, they gonna fuck.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're being sensitive and like all that stuff. And then she's like, well, I bet you still have a little penis. He's like, well, you want me to prove it? And they start making out. And it zooms out from the window, and the car is sitting outside of his house apartment.
Hold on. So that setup, you didn't see a penis either.
Nope.
It's just the
I don't think there's any penises in this movie.
Oh, that's fine.
We'll see. I mean, Adrian still has to go, and So the car was watching the cop bang his ex. Okay.
Yes. And it goes to the next day, and I guess they have a fight because she mentions how she thinks this car that's been following her is Caddick, who I guess is the attorney.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
And so the guy's like, I think you're being crazy. There's no way that could be possible. And she's like, I don't know. He did all this technology stuff. I think it's possible. And they get into a fight, and she leaves. And he's, of course, like, don't go out there. It's too dangerous. And so, of course, I think it's setting up for her to get attacked. And instead, he leaves, and the car starts chasing him.
Oh, you shouldn't have fucked the car's ex-girlfriend.
Nope. And so he's running away, and he, like, the dumbest slow motion scene I've ever seen in my life, because the video's going in slow motion, but him talking is regular. He's like, hey, I need your motorcycle. And then he punches some guy and just takes his motorcycle and tries to run away. But it just completely caught me off guard, because it's like everything's moving in slow motion. Why wasn't it like, I need your motorcycle? Instead, it's like, I need your motorcycle. It just...
Maybe that's his augmented...
And
power.
he got,
Well, they did that earlier when the DA was like showing his ex Daria or whatever his new car. He started driving real fast, and it was obvious that it was just footage of someone driving normally but sped up.
Oh yeah, they did that a lot in this because in the chase scene that I just watched, like they'd pan out to where it'd be like a scene from the highway, like from above, like a helicopter would be following them kind of shot. But you could tell it was definitely like a CGI computer animated thing.
It's like a cut from a commercial or something.
Not even a cut from a commercial. It's more like, okay, this is the overhead view of a PlayStation 3 game.
We ran out of money, but
And
we
then it would
still
come-
need this helicopter.
Then it would come back to the street level view of them chasing each other. Like he's trying to escape from the car who's chasing after him, and it would be like a normal thing. But like for some reason, pedestrians were walking around the road. So I'm like, are these cars CGI too? I couldn't figure it out anymore. And
Cuts to
eventually,
like a truck or something.
Eventually, it cuts into him like escaping into a parking garage and him climbing up a ladder to get away from the car because the car almost killed him. And he calls the guy with the
cars
glasses.
can't climb ladders.
Yeah, cars can't climb ladders.
Good move, Rainer.
And it cuts to him calling the guy with the glasses, saying that the car has a mind of its own or something like that. And then it cuts to the car.
When you say the guy with glasses, the assistant DA?
I guess in the assistant DA.
Why would you call the assistant DA? That's okay. Anyways, keep going.
I don't know a lot of what's going on.
I called him glasses guy, so that works.
So glasses guy, he called glasses guy saying, "Hey, this car has a mind of its own. It's chasing me. I think it may be Caddick."
And now he believes her.
And so yeah, and then it cuts to the car coming out of the garage, looking all sad, I guess, because it couldn't kill him. It didn't really look sad, but you could tell by the way it drove. It was disappointed.
He was driving sadly.
And then you hear from like another car behind him. It's like, we found it, and all the steampunk people who were in their own cars, it becomes like a Mad Max scene where they're chasing the car now, and the car.
Okay, well, hold on. You said like a Mad Max scene. Mad Max scenes are kick ass.
Okay, so it's a Bad Max.
Hey-o.
So the car drives into the desert with all these cyberpunk people chasing after him, and the car crashes into one of them, and the guy goes, "Oh shit," as he's flipping, and that's the end of my stuff.
All right, Adrian, bring this bitch home.
All right. Hold on. Okay, so we start off. Okay, all right, we're on the road. All right, so she's like Daria. She's like in the, I guess like the back of a cop car.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two guys in the up front. They're taking off, and there's like this convoy of like Mad Max guys that he was talking about. They're chasing the car down the road. She pulls over. Well, did they like pat her down when they put her in that car, Jason?
I don't know what you're talking about. She's just in the back of some random police car?
Yeah.
So anyways.
Okay, so anyway, she's in the back of a car.
I guess that's where she went whenever she was angry at Rainer and left. She went to go hang out with some other cops.
Okay, yeah, but I guess she got pulled over or put in the back of the car. So like, all right, so like she pulls a gun on the guys in the car. They're on the same road. What's that?
She pulls a gun on the cops.
There's two guys in a cop car. I don't know if they're like, I guess they're like crooked cops because they're talking about Talon. Okay,
fair.
So it's the rope guy. She pulls a gun out. The guy's like, I thought you patted her down. And he's like, well, I guess she had a gun hidden somewhere. It doesn't explain. So she's like,
we know where that Magnum was.
Yeah.
She prison pocket.
Yeah. She like has them like out on the road. She's like, all right, get down on your knees, and like they get down, and like instantly like the convoy that's chasing the car, like the car like hits the two guys, and it's like just like blood like splattering like all over the street.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
She is like freaks out, jumps in the cop car and takes off. Somehow behind the blockade or behind the convoy. Then the car stops, turns around. The convoy is like comes up to them. They just like open fire. everyone's like shooting. There's like two guys with like turret guns on top of two cars, like shooting at the car. The car like takes off, no ramps or bumps or hydraulics or nothing. It just takes off towards the convoy and just jumps over this line of cars and like does like a flip and like decapitates the two guys that are holding the turrets.
Wait, what?
The car it just like turns around and just like jumps and like just chops their heads off.
I gotta get me one of those.
Then what's her name? Daria is in the cop car, taking off behind them. The car is just following her. She gets a phone call from someone, I don't know, saying to we'll make you a deal, we'll let you leave, but you got to bring the car to us. So they go to like some quarry, like a warehouse and a quarry kind of construction site.
Yeah.
Okay, so she gets there, she parks, gets out. The guy in the frilly shirt, I guess the vampire guy, he's like, oh, there she is, shoot her. And then like everyone kind of like stops and then the car like jumps into the warehouse and everyone turns their guns on him.
Wait, you say the car jumps?
Well, the car like jumps like into the warehouse.
Okay, all right.
It jumped over a convoy. Like this car.
I know. I'm just saying. Okay.
So it lands in the warehouse. Everyone turns their guns on the car. The car hits like a sand trap or something, kind of like quicksand. And then everyone starts firing on the car because people think that someone's in the car.
Yeah.
So like the frilly shirt guy takes Daria.
We call him Vampire.
Vampire.
Good old Jared Leto.
So Vampire takes Daria and like takes her to like some prison or something, like a dungeon cell, and like ties her up, like chains her hands to the wall. Then it cuts to the scene where the car that was getting beat up in the sand trap is now like in a junkyard, and like this old man and like I know you all seen like Cars, Mater.
Yeah.
Pixar. He comes in like this old man and like a little Mater truck comes in to the junkyard. He's like, oh shit, haven't seen one of these in years. So like I guess he like wants to like renovate the car.
It's like riddled with bullet holes.
Yeah. Okay, so like, and then it cuts back to like the robe guy comes in, Talon. He meets Daria in the chain cell, or the chained up in the cell, and saying like he wants to like turn her back. So I didn't get that. I thought it was like maybe this is like a cult or something, or
he says he wants to turn her back.
Yeah, like turn her back. Like, hey, remember how I used to hang out with like rich people or whatever? And she's like, oh yeah, I missed that life, but like also I kind of look back and wish they all died or something like that. So I don't know if she was like
that doesn't make sense to me either.
Curse or
what?
Because when you said vampire, like okay, maybe it's like a vampire curse or something.
No, I just said because he looked like a doofy guy playing a vampire.
No, this was like the robed guy, the white robed guy.
Yeah. The boss or whatever.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So she says she doesn't want to turn back, and so anyways, it cuts back to the car in the chop shop with the old man, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna, you're all beat up here, so I'm gonna splice you with this car parts from all these other cars that I have here. And he says this quote here, he's like, ain't no samurai have a sword made of carbon fucking fiber that can chop you up now.
What?
Ain't no samurai have a sword made of carbon fucking fiber can chop you up.
I mean, I heard what you said, but it doesn't make. Yeah, just keep going.
You gotta let it soak in. So he like souped him up with like big steel parts or something. All right, so then it cuts back to the cop, and he's talking to the guy. I'm reading my notes here. He's talking to the guy in the glasses, so I guess that's the assistant DA.
Yeah. Jason, are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm soaking it in.
So the cop's talking to the assistant DA in like an office, and he's just like arguing about him with something and like trying to get him to like, I guess, give him his badge. And the cop like picks up his badge and says, yeah, you want your badge? Here it is. And like just hits him in the face with the badge busts his nose. There's like security guards like in the room. He's just like badge foos them. Then he like takes off. And then it cuts back to the junkyard scene. The old man finishes the car. He gets in. He tries to start it. It won't start. He's like, oh fuck this. And then he like gets out. He stands in front of the car. The car turns on, starts revving the tires. It's sitting there revving for like a good 10, 15 seconds. Like, you know what's gonna happen. Like, get the fuck out of the way, old man. But no, like it takes off and just like smashes the old man. The old man flies, lands on his back, and like for some reason his guts are like just hanging out. So like this innocent old man just got disemboweled. And then like
That's
the end
the
of the
impact
scene.
of the flip through the air.
Yeah, and he's standing like 5 feet in front of him. So like it just ripped him apart somehow. It cuts back to the cop after he badge smashes the other guy. He goes back to his apartment. He starts like, getting a bunch of weapons and loading up and looks like, trying to find out where he's trying to go. He finds out he has to go to like a strip club or something. It's like everything starts like jumping like back and forth here. All right, so now it goes back to the robe guy, Talon. He's with Daria. He's trying to like kind of, I guess, change her back to some other way, or trying to get her on his side. So like, he's like showing him around like the sewers or lair or whatever, and the district attorney guy, they wheel him in and says like, here's your first victim or something, and like he wants to watch her like torture him or beat him or something. So the glasses guy, the district attorney, he's like, he's tied to a chair, and they wheel in all these like instruments, and she's like kind of playing with him, like she's gonna torture him. She gets like a little bottle of alcohol and pours it all over him, and like kind of takes a swig, and like she lights a match, thinking like she's gonna like burn the guy, but he like turns to the robe guy, blows fire on him, he catches fire, she takes off running. Or no, he catches fire. Then she grabs a scalpel, stabs the robe guy in the eye, pops it out, and then takes off running.
She popped one of his like cyber eyes out.
See, I don't know if it was cyber or not. Like there's no like cyber nothing on this Act 3.
Okay, yeah, because he had like glowing eyes. A dude in the white trench coat.
Yeah.
Well, Talon was his name, right?
Talon. Oh, it's spelled Talen, by the way, not Talon.
Yeah, I figured. I thought it would be a Y, but yeah, E makes sense. All right, go ahead.
All right, so like, so he's like, his eyes like popped out, and he's like turning the other guy's like, go get her. So like, and then that's the end of that scene. Oh no, he's like blows fire on the district attorney. So like the district attorney guy, he's dead.
Okay.
So there's that. All right, so cut back to the cop. He's in the strip club. You got all the strippers and tits and ass and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for the knight. He mentions the knight. I guess that's the vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, it's the knight. Oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense because they said he had a job for the night. I thought they just meant he had a job for that night, but the character's name is. Okay. All right. Makes more sense now.
Silent.
We're still calling him
Vampire. So. As soon as he says that, the car comes out of nowhere and starts just wrecking the place in the strip club. It just starts like running over all these guys. It cuts back to so now cuts back to Daria after she left that room with the white Talon guy. The knight, I guess, is there. They start like kind of fighting, sparring, or whatever. He says, "You're not lethal without that car." So I guess he knew that her and the car were together. And then she says, "You're not lethal without your arm," and then just like chops his arm off. He freaks out, then cuts the scene. Okay, so then it cuts back to the guy in the robes, the Talon guy. He's now chasing her down.
With one guy?
Yeah. And he has a little semi-automatic gun with him.
Does he have an eye patch on, or does it just have like a hole in his head?
No, it's just like a dark spot.
Okay.
So he's like chasing her down and like shooting, and it's kind of dark and everything. And it cuts to like a couple scenes where it's like a first-person view, like going down the corridors.
Oh, nice. Like Doom?
Kinda, but then it's like super dark, so you'll get like a kind of like a night vision kind of look. So I guess
Yeah.
he's a robot or robot eyes.
Mhm.
Now I guess that makes sense.
But he has no
Um,
depth perception.
yeah, and then he turns a corner, and the cop guy, he punches him, knocks him out, and takes off with Daria. And then like at that moment, the car runs down that sewer aisle or whatever hallway, hits the guy with the robes. The guy with the robes like goes through the windshield. It's all shattered, and then he like stops and turns real quick to like slice the guy in half. So the talent guy is now dead.
So does it show him being cut in half?
Oh yeah. Like this front half is like in the car, and the other half just kind of slides off the
Front hood.
front hood.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so like everyone's outside, or actually just the cop and Daria. They're outside. The paramedics show up. She's out like in a like a gurney. He's like kind of asking her out, like, oh, when this is a crazy shit. When we're all good, would you want to go out or whatever? And like at that moment, like the car like pops out from the warehouse or the sewer or whatever.
Okay.
And he's like full blown like going towards like the cop guy. But like it's like slow, like when it cuts, like the first scene he's like taking off, like tires burning. But when it cuts to like the impact, he's like, it's like you can tell it's going like 2 miles an hour, and the cop guy like pushes the gurney out of the way and like gets kind of like knocked over and like falls down. And then I guess the car like backs up and like hits the gurney, and she rolls out of it in through the windshield. And
Wait,
then
she rolled from the gurney into the windshield?
Yeah.
But there's like a hole there because what's his name went through it, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, yeah, and this is where like time kind of goes nuts, and like they just take off, and this is kind of like in the middle of nowhere, like a desert or something.
What? They were in a city.
No, there was no city out here at all. And then this is also like in the middle of the night. She's freaking out. She's like tearing through the dashboard and trying to find the CPU.
And there's a severed torso in there with her, right?
No, that's not there anymore.
But how?
He drove really fast and then hit the brakes, and then the torso flew out, I guess. I don't know. That's funny.
So she's like, what do you want with me, James? And the car's name is James.
That's his first name.
Yeah, so she's like, what do you want with me, James? And then the radio turns on and starts playing some music like, oh, I want to make you my wife or something like that. And like she starts freaking out and like starts, just going through the wires and pulling shit out. She finally finds like some little box, like, oh, it's a CPU. She pulls it out. The car stops like 10 feet away from like a cliff overlooking a lake. She pulls it out. She gets out of the car. She's like, fuck this. She gets behind the car and like pushes the car into the lake. It's like a good minute of it like sinking and splashing everywhere. And then she walks.
Is it splashing everywhere by like the tires spinning, or is it just sinking and it's splashing?
No, it's just sinking and splashing. The CPU is out. That's just science.
Okay, fair.
And then she walks away, and then it kind of cuts to the bottom of the lake where where James the car is, and then the lights turn on, and then the credits roll.
Because that's how science works.
Any post-credit scene?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. Let's check that out right now.
No.
Here's a fun fact for you guys. Did you know this is actually a sequel?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
The car was a 50s movie, 60s, 50s, something around there.
Same movie?
So not like a sequel, but just like a reimagining.
They said it's a sequel.
Who was in the original?
Hold on. It was a 1977 movie. It's an American horror film directed by Elliot Silverstein about a car that has a mind of its own.
Oh Okay.
All right, well, hold on. I'm actually scrolling through the end of the credits right now.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
And it does not. You have to wait for the third part.
So that is The Car, Road to Revenge.
I would give it a
Cinema.
7 out of 10 for my third. I liked the cyberpunk stuff about it. I wish they had done more of that.
Yeah, I would say a 7.
It felt like it was an unnecessary part of it.
Yeah, I really did like the middle finger drill, though. That was cool.
Like hearing all your stuff and seeing mine kind of made me want to really watch the first part because like I didn't get a lot of cyberpunk.
But I also I really liked the names of the like henchmen that sold me.
And all those
I
people.
felt like I was watching some
act.
dumb. I felt like I was watching some like Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah,
Just
they
the
kind of had
henchmen.
that. They kind of had that like video game boss feel to them, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess, especially Robot Arm. Y'all didn't get to see Robot Arm at all.
Robot Arm, and well, I got Top Hat Drillfinger.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of those guys.
Yeah.
I had
Sucks for
Top
you.
Hat Drillfinger, and I had a Mohawk Crazy Lady with flamethrower arm.
Yeah. Man, I was hoping you said like her like hand like popped down and it came out of like her wrist. Like
No,
the
I
front of her
think that they
wrist.
tried to show it like coming out of the arm, but you could definitely tell it was just like a strapped thing to her arm.
And that about wraps it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. You can always find us on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube for your listening pleasure. And you can email us at nextgenretromen@gmail.com.
You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NextGenRetroman.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/NextGenRetromen and YouTube at NextGenRetromen, where we post most of our videos.
Yep.
Yeah. Watch my family play Fire Tower. That was fun.
Yep. Real quick, guys, before we go, if you could come back as any car, what kind of car would it be?
A car.
Batmobile.
Just come back. That doesn't count.
Yes.
Does
Wait,
that
what?
count? You said the Batmobile.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
Go for it, dude.
I'm not gonna
That
say
counts?
like fucking.
I'll
Ford
come back
Taurus.
as the DeLorean. I'll come back as that Back to the Future DeLorean.
Hold on. I want to come back as a clown car so I can have all those men inside me. Wait, what?